Welcome to Self-Love for Superwomen with Love Now Media. I'm your host, Tonya Ladipo. I'm so excited to be talking about faith and spirituality with Dr. Beulah Trey today. So welcome, Beulah. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak with us today, and I can't wait to hear everything that you're going to say.
Me neither.
So when I think about Superwomen, I think about how busy we are. I think about how much we strive for, how we're high achieving. And so I'm curious, where does spirituality fit into that? Where does it fit into being a high achieving woman who owns her own business?
Well, I think we have to start with what is spirituality? Mm-hmm. What does it mean to have faith? Mm-hmm. And what is wisdom in your life? So for me, what it means is that I can be aware that I'm a spiritual being living a life. And that awareness helps me. And so that, if that fits into being a superwoman, I mean, totally.
Yeah. So really being present and being aware of who you are, is that?
Being aware of who you are, mm-hmm. and being aware that you have higher ambitions and hopes, aspirations for what it means to be human, mm-hmm. for what it means to be in business, and that with whatever you're doing, that's a part of how you do it.
Okay.
So part of what you might want to think about, because spirituality and religion sometimes feel like big words, mm-hmm. and they're laden. Mm-hmm. But if you think about spirituality as qualities that you want to bring into your world, mm-hmm. qualities like kindness, qualities like peace, qualities like love, that's all part of spirituality, is being that in the world.
Mm-hmm. That seems simple. I mean, when you say it that way, who doesn't want the kindness and the love and
exactly
that way of being in the world?
Yeah, I think we make it so mystical and complicated and connected to things that whatever, but actually what faith and spirituality is about is aspiring to be the best we can be as human beings.
So how does that play into the role of business? Whether it's your own business, whether it's the workplace, what you're saying, how does that fit in with faith, spirituality, and business? Does it fit in? Maybe that's where I should start. Does it fit in? Is there a place for spirituality in business?
Well, is there a place for kindness in business? Is there a place for wisdom in business? Is there a place for teamwork, for humans getting together and doing something together? Mm-hmm. I think there is. Mm-hmm. And so if we demystify this thing called spirituality and say that what it is being the best we can be, is bringing into our workspaces qualities that are important to us, mm-hmm. then I think there isn't any issue for what spirituality is and what business is. It's alive. A business is alive.
Yeah.
And so are we.
Yeah. And it's a great way of talking about business and talking about your relationships too. So relationships with other people, whether you're in the workplace or not in the workplace. So the way you're defining spirituality is so easy to understand, and of course it fits into business when you define it that way, which isn't typical, I would say.
Yeah. I would add one other thing. You know, in getting ready for today, mm-hmm. I decided, let's look up faith mm-hmm. in the dictionary. Mm-hmm. So I looked it up, and it says trust in something other than oneself, be it a thing or a being or a person. That's what trust is. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, well, let's look for a good definition of trust. And I found one in a rabbi that was alive in the 1800s. And, you know, a lot of people think that to trust means that I always believe something. Mm-hmm. But he said something different. What he said is that a part of trust is worrying. So what he said is trust is not like, okay, I trust something and so it is going to always be okay, or I have faith and that's the way it's going to be.
Okay.
Instead, what he said is that when you worry, mm-hmm. trust that there's something for you in the worry.
Okay.
And consult with people whose advice you live by. Mm-hmm. And then when your equanimity returns, mm-hmm. that's what it means to trust. It doesn't mean always having faith. It means knowing that you won't always have faith, but trusting that with help from others, you'll get back to faith.
You just gave me chills. I love that because it goes, I think, it's contradictory, I think, to what a lot of us hear and maybe even believe about faith. But when you talk about it and you kind of pull it through, it's the perfect definition of faith, that you can trust and worry, and the faith is in knowing that you will come through the worry.
With help from other people.
Say more.
So part of the definition is that finding out who are the people in my life whose advice I seek. And when I'm around them and I talk to them about what's going on for me, it reminds me of what's good in the world. It reminds me of why I'm here, what I'm here to do. And know who those people are, because when you worry, it's a sign that you're loved. Now go seek the people who love you well, talk to them, and then your equanimity will return.
I love the way you're talking about this because it's so easy to really put into action. It's not this kind of mystical idea, like you said, but it's really action-oriented. You have people around you. You let them love you. You need to be able to take action and reach out and say, I'm worried. I need you to love me. I need you to help me through this. And then being willing to be open and present so that you can learn from it. So, okay, now I'm curious. How did you come to know all of this? I know you're quoting a rabbi, but how did you kind of come to believe this, to internalize this?
Well, you know, I was raised in an Orthodox Jewish community. So one of the questions that you and I talked about was, what if you were raised in a way that religion didn't work for you?
Yes.
And that was true for me. And so as an adult, but religion hooked me. So I couldn't get away from it, but I couldn't get into it.
Okay.
And then I found a path inside Judaism called Musar. And what Musar says is that we all want to be good people, but it's really hard to be good.
Okay.
So this Musar is the tradition of how you be good.
I love that.
And part of what it says is that there are virtues in the world, virtues that are important to bring into the world. And one of the ways you do it is by defining for yourself what the virtue is. So trust has been a big deal for me throughout my life, and I went around and looked for a definition. And when I found the one I found, I thought, yeah. And now when I have problems with trust, I just remember the definition. So it was that brought
beautiful.
me. Yeah. There's another one that's really good for people that it just came to me. So there's a word that sends shivers down us, which is called discipline. Right? And it seems like it's a bad word, right? So it was another thing I thought, well, what's the definition of discipline that I can live by?
Yeah.
And the definition I found was, it is the adolescence of a habit you're trying to bring into your life.
I like that. Do you think faith is an act of self-love?
Absolutely.
How so?
Because what faith means is that you are letting yourself know that there is a purpose, and that you have a purpose, just as a person. And self-love is all about knowing, I am meant to be here. I am meant to do what I'm doing. So faith and self-love really are the same thing. It's the absolute belief that every person that's alive is needed.
Yeah. What is the one tip you would give people to be able to act on their faith and their spirituality?
And I'm going to give two, because I couldn't decide.
That's okay, I'll take two.
So the first one is, always be in conversation with wise people. So there are many wise people that have written many wise books. Always have one around, and every day read something that connects you with wisdom, even if it's just 2 minutes a day. That's the first one.
I love that. And I just want to ask, does that have to be a religious text?
No, anything that you think is wise counts.
I love that. I love that. And what's your other one?
The second one is gratitude. So it is really important to practice being grateful.
Yeah.
And so 5 things a day that not only do you write or list for yourself that you're grateful for, but you actually allow yourself to feel. Even if it's just, your kid or the beauty of a flower, but just every day, 5 things that you're grateful for and filling with that gratitude.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. When I think about faith and spirituality in business, but also in the world and in my life, something that I do in the morning is I will say a prayer, and I'll say, please let my words and actions be pleasing to God, so that it kind of focuses me for the day. And then at the end of the day, I'll review, were my words and actions pleasing to God? Because generally throughout the day, it's going to be a mixture of yes and no. But it also kind of helps me reflect and kind of refocus myself for the next day. So I want to first say thank you to Dr. Beulah Trey for being with us. This was so, you shared so much wisdom with me and with us, and so I'm really, really, really grateful to you for doing that with us.
Thank you for asking me to do this.
Of course, of course. If you want to learn more about myself and the work I do as a therapist, please visit me at theladipogroup.com. And of course, to learn more and see more of these great episodes, visit lovenowmedia.com.